Let's talk about confidence. Episode 6, Sales Confidence, Why Skills Alone Don't Work. Welcome back to Let's Talk About Confidence. I'm John M. Walsh, and over the past 5 episodes, we've built a comprehensive understanding of how confidence works. The confidence cycle, the boring middle bit, progressive challenge, pressure tolerance, team confidence. And today, we're applying all of that to one of the most demanding contexts, sales. I've spent over 30 years working with salespeople in finance, insurance, holiday parks, retail, consultative selling, and I've watched thousands of sales interactions and trained sales professionals. And here's what I've learned. Sales confidence is different from other types of confidence. You can be confident speaking in meetings and terrified approaching customers. You can be confident technically and freeze when asking for the sale. You can know the product perfectly and still feel that moment of hesitation before every customer interaction. Because sales exposes you to judgment repeatedly. It requires you to initiate uncertainty and it guarantees rejection. In this episode, I'm going to show you why sales confidence is uniquely challenging, what's actually happening in those moments of hesitation, and how to build sales confidence that lasts. Not through motivation, but through systematic practice. Let me start with a story. The young woman standing in the doorway looked about 23. First week in the job. I was there consulting with the sales team. I watched her spot a couple getting out of their car. She straightened her jacket, took a breath, and started walking towards them. Then she stopped, just froze for a moment mid-stride. Her hand went to her hair, adjusting it unnecessarily. She glanced back at the office. The couple were 10 feet away. They hadn't noticed her yet. She took another breath, deeper this time, and moved toward them. But something had shifted. The confidence she'd gathered had leaked away in those 3 seconds of hesitation. I've seen that moment thousands of times. That flicker of uncertainty just before you step into a conversation with someone who hasn't decided who you are yet. Doesn't matter whether it's your first day, your 10th year, that moment exists. The internal voice that whispers, what if they don't like me? What if I can't answer their questions? The couple walked in, she greeted them professionally and did everything right technically. Asked decent questions, explained the products clearly, but the hesitation never quite left her. You could hear it in her pace, slightly too fast. You could see it in how she filled every silence with explanations that weren't needed. The couple were polite, they took the brochure, they said they'd think about it and left. Afterwards she sat down heavily. I don't know why I find this so hard, she said. I know the product, I know what to say, but the moment I see someone walking toward me, something just happens. What she was describing wasn't weakness. It was biology colliding with the demands of a role that most nervous systems weren't designed for. Here's what's actually happening in those 3 seconds. Her amygdala detected threat, not physical but social threat. She was about to enter a situation where she'd be judged by strangers, she might be rejected, could visibly fail, and her professional identity would be tested. Her sympathetic nervous system activated. Stress hormones, heart rate increased, breathing becomes shallower, and her prefrontal cortex, responsible for that smooth execution, started going offline. Blood flow redirected to survival areas rather than complex performance. In 3 seconds, her nervous system prepared her for danger. Then she had to walk into a sales conversation acting calm and confident. That's the challenge of sales confidence. And here's what most people don't understand. That moment doesn't disappear with experience. It changes, but it doesn't vanish. I've watched salespeople with 10 years' experience still have a moment of internal adjustment before approaching customers. Not as intense, not as destabilising, but still present. The difference? Experienced salespeople have learned to execute despite that moment. They feel the hesitation and move forward anyway. That's sales confidence, not the absence of that 3-second moment. The ability to function professionally despite it. So why is sales different? There's 6 unique challenges we face. So let me talk about challenge 1 first. You meet people who haven't decided who you are yet. In most professions, credibility arrives before you do. A doctor walks into a patient's room with the authority of their role. A teacher enters a classroom where their role's understood. But salespeople face the opposite. Not only do you lack institutional credibility, you often walk into active suspicion. Many customers arrive already guarded, shaped by previous experiences of being pressurised or misled, and your job is to remain calm and professional while earning trust that others receive automatically, while overcoming suspicion others never face. Now that is emotional labour, and it does require strength. Challenge 2 is the assessment is rapid and constant. Customers make judgments quickly, often unconsciously. Are you genuine? Do I trust you? What's your agenda? This assessment happens whether you like it or not. Most people dislike being judged. Sales asks you to walk into judgment willingly and repeatedly. And challenge 3 is rejection is guaranteed. Most roles allow you to avoid rejection most of the time. If you're competent, positive outcomes are common. Sales reverses this equation. If you're excellent, you might close 20 to 30%, which means 70 to 80% rejection. And research shows us that rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. So sales asks you to experience something neurologically painful multiple times per day and remain emotionally stable. Challenge 4 is uncertainty is constant. Every new customer brings uncertainty. You don't know what they want, what they're worried about, whether they're open or defensive. The human brain prefers predictability. Uncertainty triggers stress response, and sales denies you that comfort. Challenge 5, the performance pressure. Sales places you on stage repeatedly. You're expected to guide conversations, remain composed when the customer's not, handle objections professionally, support decisions that carry emotional or financial weight, and all in real time, without a script and full view of another person's judgment. Challenge 6 is skills don't solve the confidence problem. You can know the product perfectly, know the sales process, know how to handle objections, and still feel that hesitation, still struggle with rejection. Because skills and confidence are two different things. Skills tell you what to do. Confidence gives you the capacity to do it under pressure. Most sales training focuses entirely on skills, all useful and all necessary, but none of it addresses that moment of hesitation. That's the confidence gap in sales. So let's look at the 5 patterns in the confidence gap. And it shows up very specifically, and they're all recognisable patterns. So pattern 1 is the avoidance pattern. When your confidence is low, avoidance becomes attractive. Not because you're lazy, because your brain's offering you relief from discomfort. So what this looks like, finding reasons to delay that call, waiting for customers to approach you, asking qualifying questions but avoiding the close. Here's the devastating part. Each time you avoid, you reinforce the belief that you need to avoid. You train yourself to lack confidence. Pattern 2 is the over-explanation pattern. When confidence is shaky, salespeople fill silence with words. They over-explain. They rush through interactions as if speed will reduce exposure. This comes from anxiety. Silence feels dangerous. But customers experience this as pressure. The irony, you're trying to reduce your anxiety, but you're increasing the customer's resistance. Pattern 3 is the absorption pattern. Some salespeople absorb the customer's emotional state. If the customer's anxious, you become anxious. The customer's sceptical, you become defensive. When you're uncertain about your own stability, you become vulnerable to others' emotional states. Your confidence fluctuates based on who you're talking to. Pattern 4, the post-interaction rumination pattern. After difficult interactions, low-confidence salespeople replay the conversation. I should have said this. Why did I say that? This accomplishes nothing except contaminating your next interaction. One bad interaction affects 3 or 4 subsequent ones. Pattern 5 is the confidence-competence disconnect. And this frustrates people the most. You know you're competent. You've closed deals before. But in the moment, when the customer pushes back, when the stakes are high, all that competence becomes inaccessible. Your mind goes blank. The language you practice disappears. This isn't incompetence. This is your threat response, degrading performance. These patterns all stem from the same mechanism. Threat response activates. Prefrontal cortex goes partially offline. Accessing skills becomes difficult. This is why skills training alone doesn't solve the confidence problem. You need pressure-tested confidence. So building sales confidence requires working at 4 levels, and you can't skip the levels. Level 1 is understanding the cycle, and it's the 4-movement sales confidence cycle. Movement 1 is preparation. Confidence begins before the customer arrives. A few quiet minutes, settling your pace, choosing your state rather than letting the day dictate it. Practice before your first customer interaction each day. Take 2 minutes. Breathe slowly. Remind yourself, I'm here to understand and help. I can handle difficulty. I've done this before. They're not affirmations. Those are evidence-based reminders. Movement 2 is presence. When the customer arrives, confidence shows up as presence. Staying with what's actually happening rather than what you fear might happen. Listening fully, slowing your pace, and not rushing to fill silence. In terms of practice, in each interaction, focus on one question. What is this person actually concerned about? That external focus reduces your internal monitoring. Movement 3 is recovery. After difficult interactions, contain the moment, extract what's useful, and release the emotional weight. Reset. One interaction doesn't contaminate the next. The practice for this is after a difficult interaction, physically reset. Walk outside for 30 seconds, breathe deeply 3 times, then consciously, that interaction is done, next customer is new. And movement 4 is renewal. At the end of the day, the week, confidence requires renewal. Keep the learning and release the emotional weight. Practice for this, Friday afternoon, 15 minutes, review your week. What went well? What did you learn? What are you releasing? That keeps your confidence light enough to sustain. Level 2 is a progressive exposure to difficulty. You don't build sales confidence by jumping to the hardest situations. You build it systematically. So level 1 could be like low stakes practice with warm customers. Building your foundation confidence. Level 2, new customers. Mild pressures present. Level 3, sceptical customers with objections. Function confidently when challenge is present. And level 4 is high value opportunities. Execute when the stakes are highest. Now each level requires accumulating evidence before moving to the next. Typically 20 to 30 attempts per level. Level 3 is building your tolerance for rejection. This is sales specific. Train yourself to handle rejection without it eroding confidence. Reframe rejection as information, not about you, but about timing, fit, circumstances. Track rejection systematically. Keep a log. Today I experienced 12 rejections. I survived all 12. After 60 rejections logged, your brain has 60 pieces of evidence that rejection doesn't destroy you. Celebrate attempts that led to rejection. I made the call. I asked for the sale. I executed despite knowing rejection was possible. The behaviour matters more than the outcome. Practice rapid recovery after rejection. Immediate reset. That person said no. The next person might say yes. They're different people. Level 4 is simulated pressure practice. Ways to add pressure to practice is practice with colleagues watching. It creates visibility pressure. Artificial stakes. If I don't handle this objection well, I'll donate 20 quid. Practice after physical exertion. Walk up and down the stairs or whatever. Elevate your heart rate, then execute. And it simulates the stress response. And role play difficult customers. With your colleagues, practice staying composed. This trains you to execute when threat response is activated. That's the gap you're closing. The timeline on this, it does take time. It could be months 1 through 3. You're building that foundation confidence, practicing the 4-movement cycle, and everything will still feel a wee bit effortful. But then you're in that month 4 to 8 where is the middle bit where behaviours aren't getting dramatically easier and there is a strong temptation to quit, but the part you can't see is your neural pathways are forming. Then months 9 to 12, you'll see the first signs of sales confidence emerging. Your interactions start to feel more natural. And then when you move into the years beyond that, sales confidence is established and you can execute confident behaviours consistently in most situations. Now, it's not fast. It is different for different people, but it is systematic and it works. Remember the young lady from the beginning, 3 seconds of hesitation in the doorway? 6 months later, watched her greet customers with calm, grounded presence. Not because she'd eliminated uncertainty, because she knew what to do with it. A breath, a pause, a choice of pace, then forward. Later I saw her training someone new. First few months are uncomfortable, she said. That's normal. Your system's learning. This is safe. If you prepare, stay present, reset after difficult moments, and let the day end, it gets steadily easier. She wasn't repeating theory, she was describing a cycle she'd lived through. That's sales confidence that lasts. Here's what changes when you build sales confidence properly. That 3-second moment, it doesn't disappear, but it stops controlling you. You feel it and move forward anyway. Rejection still happens, but it doesn't contaminate your next interaction. Difficult customers will still test you, but you don't absorb their state. And high-stakes situations still create pressure, but you can execute despite that pressure. That's sales confidence, not the absence of difficulty, the ability to function professionally despite difficulty. So here's your challenge. If you're in sales, assess which of the 5 patterns are you experiencing. Is it avoidance or over-explanation? Is it absorption, rumination, the competence-confidence disconnect? Once you know your pattern, start with the 4-movement cycle. Just that. Practice it daily for 1 month. That alone will shift your experience. In the next episode, we're talking about leadership confidence, specifically the transition from a technical or subject matter expert to leader. When you've built your confidence on technical or subject matter competence, and suddenly that's not enough anymore. We'll talk about that next time. But for now, remember this. Sales confidence isn't about personality. It's not about being naturally outgoing or charismatic or fearless. It's about systematic practice, building evidence and training yourself to function under pressure. 1 interaction at a time, 1 recovery at a time, 1 cycle at a time. That's how sales confidence is built, and that's how it lasts. I'm John M. Walsh. This is Let's Talk About Confidence, and I'll see you in episode 7.